The geopolitical landscape of the Middle East has undergone a seismic shift following a decisive military announcement from the United States 2 days ago, acting under the specific direction and direct orders of President Donald J. Trump. The Department of War initiated what is now being called Operation Epic Fury. Military analysts and defense officials are already classifying this as the most lethal, most complex, and most precise aerial operation in recorded history. This marks a significant departure from previous rules of engagement, establishing a new precedent for how the United States responds to threats against its citizens. The message delivered by the administration is stark and unequivocal. It lays down a zero-tolerance policy, stating that if you kill Americans, or if you threaten Americans anywhere on Earth, the response will be inevitable. The United States will hunt down those responsible without apology and without hesitation, and the objective is to eliminate the threat completely. The administration has drawn a hard line regarding nuclear proliferation, asserting that erratic regimes, particularly those driven by prophetic Islamist delusion, cannot be permitted to possess nuclear weapons. It is presented not just as policy, but as a matter of common sense. The irony noted by observers is palpable. It turns out that the regime which has famously chanted death to America and death to Israel for decades was, in this operation, gifted that very same outcome from both nations. For 47 long years, the expansionist and Islamist regime in Tehran has waged what Washington describes as a savage, one-sided war against the United States. While they did not always declare it openly on the battlefield, barring their constant chants, they executed this war through the blood of American citizens. This shadow war includes the devastating car bombs in Beirut, relentless rocket attacks on naval ships, targeted murders at embassies, and the widespread use of roadside bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan. These acts were funded and armed by Iranian Quds Force and IRGC operatives. For the generation of veterans who served in these conflicts, this operation resonates on a deeply personal level. They carry the memory and the names of brothers who never came home, brothers who were butchered by Iranian-backed roadside bombs and well-armed militias. We are talking about thousands of American lives lost in this decades-long struggle. The United States maintains that it did not start this war, but under the leadership of President Trump, the objective is to finally finish it. The attacks on Americans have now transformed into retribution against the Ayatollah and his radical faction. It took the 47th president, described by his supporters as a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw this line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence. He has reminded the world, consistent with his previous foreign policy stances, that being an American means something unbreakable. The core doctrine remains consistent. If you harm American citizens, the response will be lethal. President Trump has also been very consistent regarding strategic stability. Regimes that operate on radical delusions cannot have nuclear weapons. While many leaders have said it, the current administration emphasizes that it takes genuine resolve to actually enforce, and the president has demonstrated that result. The assessment was that Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuit, combined with their targeting of global shipping lanes and their swelling arsenal of ballistic missiles and killer drones, were no longer tolerable risks. Intelligence suggested that Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambition. Let us analyze that statement again, because it is crucial. They were establishing a conventional shield to protect their nuclear blackmail ambition. This placed American bases, personnel, and allies directly in their crosshairs. Essentially, Iran held a conventional weapon to the head of the West, while attempting to deceive their way to a nuclear bomb. While previous attempts at diplomacy, such as the deal under the Obama administration, attempted to contain this, the current leadership views those efforts as failure. The result is that the regime which sought the destruction of its adversaries has faced a devastating counterstrike. This operation is not explicitly labeled as a so-called regime change war, but the reality on the ground suggests that the regime has indeed changed fundamentally, and the administration asserts that the world is better off for it. Today, we are witnessing a defining geopolitical moment where the adversary's true nature has been fully unmasked. In what defense analysts are describing as a clear sign of desperation, Iranian missiles and drones are currently raining down indiscriminately on civilian infrastructure across the region. We are seeing reports of strikes targeting hotels, airports, and residential apartment complexes belonging to their neighbors. These are the frantic tactics of a regime that, for decades, has trafficked in asymmetrical violence, deception, and destruction rather than legitimate governance. To this day, the Iranian leadership has constructed nothing of value for its people, investing instead embedded in proxy militias, missile stockpiles, and deeply buried nuclear factories. There is a fundamental strategic reality that must be addressed here. Truly peaceful nuclear ambitions do not need to be buried underneath mountains. This context brings us back to last June, when Operation Midnight Hammer successfully reduced their nuclear program to rubble. Following that decisive action, the diplomatic message from Washington was stark and plain. We told them, that is it, now make a deal. Instead of seizing that opportunity, they arrogantly refused. The counter-warning was equally clear. We said, rebuild it, and we will stop you again, only this time, the consequences will be far worse. It is important to correct the historical record regarding diplomacy. President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner bent over backwards to facilitate real, substantive diplomacy. They offered pathway after pathway to peace. I can confirm this because I was there. I watched these events unfold. They tried over and over again, with earnest attempts to reach a settlement. However, the former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was never truly negotiating. They were merely stalling, buying precious time to reload their missile stockpile and restart their nuclear ambitions. Their strategic goal was to hold the world hostage by threatening to strike our forces. But as recent events confirm, President Trump does not play those games. As Secretary Rubio stated following the Maduro raid, if you do not know, now you know. President Trump places America and American citizens first. He does not hesitate when red lines are crossed, and neither do our troops. The operational parameters of Operation Epic Fury are laser-focused and uncompromising. The objectives are to destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production capabilities, and destroy their navy along with other critical security infrastructure. The end state is clear. They will never possess nuclear weapons. We are hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. With every passing day of this campaign, our capabilities get stronger while Iran's get significantly weaker. We are setting the terms of this conflict from start to finish. Our ambitions here are not utopian or vague. They are realistic, tightly scoped to our national interests, and focused on the defense of our people and our allies. Speaking of the people, there is a hope within the administration that the Iranian citizenry takes advantage of this incredible opportunity to reclaim their future. President Trump has been clear. Now is your time. To the Iranian security forces, the message is equally direct. Choose wisely. President Trump has been very clear about your fate in either direction. To the media outlets and political critics screaming about endless wars, the administration asks you to stop and analyze the fact. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. Having witnessed both, our generation knows better, and so does this president. He has rightly called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he is right. This operation is the exact opposite. This is a clear, devastating, and decisive mission with 3 pillars. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the navy, and ensure no nuclear weapons. Israel has clear missions as well, for which we are grateful. As we have said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners. Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the necessary use of force, America is acting. Regardless of what so-called international institutions say, the United States is unleashing the most lethal and precise air power campaign in history. This involves B-2 bombers, advanced fighters, drones, missiles, and of course, classified effects. This is being conducted entirely on our terms with maximum authorities. There are no stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise, and no politically correct wars. We fight to win, and we do not waste time or lives. However, as the president warned, an effort of this magnitude and scope will include casualties. War is severe, and always will be. A grateful nation honors the 4 Americans we have lost thus far, and those who have been injured. They represent the absolute best of America. May we prosecute the remainder of this operation in a manner that honors their sacrifice. There are no apologies and no hesitation. This is epic fury for them, and for the thousands of Americans before them who were taken too soon by Iranian radicals. Before I turn the briefing over to General Kane for the specific operational update, let me speak straight to the Joint Force, our warriors on the front line. This is your moment. This is the generational turning point America has waited for since 1979, and since the rudderless wars of hubris that my generation and our generation endured.